Hey, I'm a very angry person, and not in the way that's like stereotypical, where I'm yelling in every video and stressing myself out and y'all. No, I'm angry in a way that only manifests through my art, through the passion that you see on screen, through the points I make and how bluntly I make them. I don't believe in homework, so I'm not about to tell y'all to watch anything else I've made, but I've made a lot of videos at this point about controversial topics. The most recent being in a series called Fubu Scammers. This series dials in on black people who are using manipulative tactics or just straight up scams to lure in people who look like us from more vulnerable communities and grift them for as much money as they can possibly take. The problem I'm here to address today is the blowback, is how tightly we, as black people, hold on to the people we consider celebrities or influencers, even when those same celebrities or influencers use that power, use that influence, use that grip on our psyche, on our emotions to manipulate us and suck our bank accounts dry. So I'll start with Paris and I'll move to Myron because I used him as a comparison because she got everything she did from his course. I also made a piece about him. Again, homework. You don't need to do it. As I laid out in my prior video, Paris is a stock trader. She uses a relatively conservative strategy called covered calls. And while she does explain the basics in her free masterclass that leads to a 5-day stock accelerator, which leads to a $1,000 course.
Are y'all ready? Put ready in the chat. 1997.
Most of it is a sales pitch. And there's people joining her who are also selling their wares and selling their courses to those same people. And all of it comes off like this cartel that's uniting to make as much money as possible from the same people over and over and over again. They lie about their videos being live. They lie about not guaranteeing income when they do it in their seminars in order to hook you in the first place and on social media when they're promoting these courses.
You want to learn how to produce guaranteed weekly income from the market?
All these things are plain. They're out there for everybody to see and for everybody to notice. But when I call it out, it's a problem. So I specifically want to address fans of theirs or former students of theirs and some of the protests they've put up when they're telling me that I'm a hater. One student of Paris's, according to her, I can't verify whether she was a student or not, claims in the comment section that Paris has thousands of successful students. And she's like, what do you say to that? Well, the first thing I say to that is prove it. According to Paris herself, 90% of her students become successful traders. How am I supposed to take your word on something like that? Why would I take Paris's word on something like that? You've bought into the message. You've drunk the Kool-Aid. You bought into the marketing. If you can sit there and just tell me that she has all these successful students that's cracked a stock market that is run by professional mathematicians and quants on Wall Street. Are you serious? When you trade in a brokerage account, you can trade in simulated money, but you can also accept what's called margin, which is based on the collateral. They use the stock that you own and offer you a certain amount of money that technically isn't yours to trade with. She says that this margin is free money, and she suggests that they borrow up to $20,000 of it.
So our investment is $40,000. We are using 20,000 of OPM, and margins that free money. So they're gonna match our 20,000. So we got the 40,000.
I cannot underestimate how dangerous this is. When there's people in our community that are suggesting for us to do dangerous things using outdated strategy for an end result that can only happen if you started off with $200,000 in stock in the first place, they're offering you up for slaughter. They're throwing you into an incredibly dangerous situation that's usually only going to end one way. And that's really, really bad. Paris uses people's insecurities, things that people have always strived for, like success and wealth, and flaunts these things that she's apparently doing in her life, which could easily be a photo shoot in some random Airbnb or something that was rented, or, you get the point. As the example for why her services are that valuable, why her services need to be bought by you right now for $1,000. And the point I'm inherently trying to make here is one, that more often than not, all this information is available on the internet for free on YouTube. And when you take that into consideration, it makes this whole facade crumble. You don't need them. You don't need their celebrity, their influence, their depictions of wealth to make you feel better about yourself, to lend legitimacy to what they're trying to sell you. You don't need to buy into the hustle. You don't need to engage with a person directly in that way at all. And am I trying to take money away from a fellow black entrepreneur? No, because they're not entrepreneurs. This is not entrepreneurship. When you start a business that's based around manipulating people and tricking them out of their money in order to serve your purposes, that is not entrepreneurship. That is theft by another name. I think the reactions that come at me every time I do the deep research and expose one of these people for how they're fleecing our entire community is hurtful in a way that I guess you wouldn't expect. It's not hurtful that I get criticism. I'm used to it. It's not hurtful that somebody's criticizing the video I made or putting a negative comment on YouTube for other people to see. I'm past all that. I've dealt with it day in, day out. What's hurtful is that you can see all this evidence laid out, all the research that's been done, and clap back at the black person that's trying to warn you. I have no ulterior motive. There's no reason that I benefit from continuing to put myself through hours of their yelling and taking courses I don't have to take and going through their social media when I'm not even on social media anymore at all. I would not put myself through that level of torture just for YouTube clicks. YouTube clicks are not worth that much. I'm not going to take y'all all the way through how YouTube works, but a good video or a video that appeals to a lot of people is not worth enough for me to go through hours and hours and hours of listening to these people speak. Paris yells for hours on end. That is not worth a YouTube video. There are easier ways for me to get y'all to click on something and watch it for a long time. Trust me. I go through that depth to give you transparency, to let you know that I'm not blindly accusing this person. I've done the work. I've seen what they're selling. I've been patient enough to hear them out all the way and then bring y'all a balanced take on what's good about what they're doing and what's terrible about what they're doing. I'm an inherently skeptical person. And so when I see things that are intended to manipulate people and trick them and false advertising, I call it out and I lay it out as reasons why you shouldn't trust this person. So now we're going to talk about Myron. Myron Golden is a very large influencer. He has 1 million subscribers on YouTube. He has hundreds of thousands on other social media platforms. So he's built that name up because he spent years as a pastor, years as a MLM pitch man, and MLMs are schemes that are pyramid schemes with products on top, in case you didn't know, and years hustling in any way he possibly could before the dot-com era, after the dot-com era, and he's finally figured out a way to combine prosperity gospel and multi-level marketing pitches into one cohesive product where he's selling grifters on how to sell more effectively to people like you and me. I made a whole documentary on him. You don't have to watch it, but that's the premise. I'm setting the stage. Myron Golden is the sensei of grifters. He is the level above this where he's figured out a way to teach other grifters how to grift more effectively. What I want to talk about here is people who defend Myron. Here's a comment from somebody who was defending him very recently after I made the video about Paris. They're saying that he's this upstanding person that's taught them the most moving and inspirational things ever. These things are not mutually exclusive. You can be a scammer and be genuinely inspirational and be genuinely motivational and teach people things worth learning. But when you incorporate manipulative tactics on top of it and upsells, just like Paris is, where he ends it by telling you with a straight face, to borrow from your retirement.
It's not a $27,000 decision today. Well, it is a $27,000 decision, but you don't need $27,000 today. So you can borrow it from your retirement or from an insurance policy.
It's crossing a line that is ethically unacceptable for me. I'm one person on YouTube. You don't have to agree with me. This entire package is a grift. That's what I'm presenting to people over and over and over again. And I want to move from that to speaking on our culture at large. I think, personally, that the way we're brought up in the Black community, the people we're taught to look at and look up to, I think all of that creates an environment where we idolize people who have found a way to attain wealth. Money is our North Star, and it's not like that. It's not the case for other ethnic groups, but I'm only focusing on us because I am us. Paris, in the video I just made, referenced Terry Ijeoma and Swaggy C, two influencers that are known at this point. Well, one of them known more so than the other, for being grifters. I outlined why Terry Ijeoma from Trade and Travel is a grifter in a previous video. And Swaggy C is all over the internet being highlighted for his deceptive practices and his lies about his trading record. But when Paris was highlighting these people, yeah, the success was part of it, but it was the main part of it, right? Look what TV channels they've been on. Look at the fact that this person is rich. Look at the fact that this person is pretending to be rich and showing you their vacations and showing you where they've been. That's Paris mentioned that Swaggy C spent his winters in Dubai, as if that's something that we all need to aspire to, and that automatically means this person is to be believed and to be followed. The vitriol and the level of anger that comes out of people when they see these videos and they see these exposés laid out with impeccable sources and all the research that's necessary to really get to the bottom of something. It really breaks me down sometimes debating, okay, should I argue this person down in a comment section or explain what I've tried to explain in clear detail in the video and break down like why it's important that we call out manipulative tactics. It's important, even if someone isn't explicitly breaking an existing law, why their deception and their lies, why these things are important to notice, why these red flags are important to call out. And within our culture, we see attacks on wealth as an attack on this concept of Black excellence. Alicia Renese has a fantastic video about the facade of Black excellence. And I'm drawn from the ethos of that here when I say that it's not a real thing. This is fake. This is a veneer that's been pulled in front of our eyes to create the circumstances where we defend scammers, where we defend grifters in our community who are clearly taken from us. The Black community does not have the resources to be vacuumed up like this. And if we're ever going to make meaningful change, yes, it starts with unity and not tearing each other down. I acknowledge that part of your point. But if the people I'm tearing down, quote unquote, have stolen money from the rest of us, then they've subtracted from this effort of unity more than I ever could by calling them out one by one. Ultimately, I'm asking y'all to look past your bias for lifting up influencers and lifting up celebrity and trying to see the facts of the matter. Look at the way a person chooses to make money. I encourage you to look that way at me. I'm here for it. I deserve it. But critiques aside, the underlying push here that I get from people is, why are you trying to tear this person down? You're coming off like a hater. I come from the rap world where being called a hater is devastating. So it's definitely not a desire of mine to be perceived that way. And it sucks being called a hater by anybody. But sharing information that people need in order to steer them away from scams is not hate. Point blank, period. There's people who have commented to that effect that I've helped them steer clear of a person that would have milked them dry. There's people who have been midway through these courses and been like, oh, I saw this video and now I started to notice this sign and I didn't go through with it. Thank you. That stuff makes me feel validated, but ultimately it's not the main point that I'm trying to use to convince you. What I'm laying out here is helping you see how mad we get when someone dares to call out someone who looks like us, who seems to be wealthy, who seems to be successful. These commenters that talked about Myron Golden, they pointed out something that's really important. This is the I told you so section of the video. In Myron's video, in his documentary I made about him, I pointed out that he has this 5-day challenge called the Make More Offers Challenge. And that in that challenge, he's teaching other people how to do it to other people, right? He's handing that playbook to a bunch of other smaller influencers, and they're running out and doing it at scale to the rest of us. He's the sensei of grifters. So keeping that in mind, here's comments proving that I was right. There's one course, a 5-day course by the Options Sniper, who admitted that he paid Myron up to $50,000 for mentoring. There's another one that's about crafting. And the person who commented told me that that person hosting the 5-day challenge paid Myron $80,000. I was right. He is creating all of this. Terry Ishioma, Paris Smith, the Options Sniper, this crafting person, they're all taking his course and then running to us to pull us into the funnel and to take from us more resources than we have, to upsell us to the point where it's absurd, like Myron's $27,000 offer at the end of his 5-day challenge. And then the people who took the course, the people who have heard about the course, the people who just follow them on social media and look up to them, turn around and tell me that I'm being a hater, that I'm outlining things that are unfair, or I'm cherry picking information. I go deep on these investigations to make sure that I'm clear of these criticisms, that the information I'm giving you is real, that it's verified. I have the recordings of their classes to prove it. I put them on screen, and I provide the sources for you to check it out for yourself. I'm doing my best, and I'm open to suggestions on how I can do better. But at the end of the day, I want to encourage our community to stop looking up to influencers, including me. Look up to my work. Look up to the veracity of my work, how accurate it is, how truthful it is, and whether the things I've told you are things that reflect when you do the research for yourself. Criticize everything I do, but do not criticize me for doing the real work in the field and then bringing the information to y'all. I don't know how to be more plain about it. Stop lifting people up. They are the same as you. They are flesh and blood, and they are capable of flaws and making mistakes and intentionally grifting their own people. That's it. That's all I have to say. Don't buy anything from Myron Golden. Don't buy anything from Paris Smith. Don't buy anything from anybody offering you a 5-day challenge at this point, because they all got it from him, and their goal is to milk you for as much as you have, regardless of the value of the information they're giving you in return. One man's opinion on YouTube. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to watch. But you cannot say that I didn't tell you. It's really hot outside, which is a good thing, but I'm going to get heat rash in a second. So I got to go back. But good talk, guys.